What's going on, everybody? It's the Hook Cam back again with another draft recap. This time we're taking a look at the Detroit Lions. Some of my guys over there at the DSA doing a great job covering the draft for the Lions. I had a great time popping in for a little bit. Quick plug for them. If you're not subscribed and you're a Lions fan, check out the DSA. They got a great thing going. Breaking down Lions film, giving their thoughts and opinions on Lions games. But with that being said, let's dive into a little bit of this Lions team, where they're at and how these draft picks fit in. Obviously for the Lions, a little bit of an overhaul in the sense of it's the quote-unquote Patricia getting his guys, right? And now we're in year 3 with Patricia. It's time for him. It's make or break time, right? Go get your guys. Let's see what you can do. With this draft overall, I was impressed with how they did, which for some reason doesn't seem to be the consensus feeling. They address their needs at the offensive line. They address needs on defense with the secondary and pass rush, and for some reason people aren't happy with what they did. With this team, I felt like the glaring holes for the Lions was at the guard spot. And on defense, obviously, there's some issues with pressuring and, where guys fit in. And, you lose Darius Slay, all of that stuff. Hey, wipe the slate clean. Let's start over. Let's start fresh. And the feeling consensus-wise from a lot of Lions fans was Isaiah Simmons. They go with Jeffrey Okudah. Initially, I was like, man, I don't like that pick. And then you go back and you start watching some of Okudah's film, and he's locking guys up. And not only does he lock guys up, but he comes up and he makes plays like this, man. Coming up and making a hit on Etienne, who's a phenomenal running back for Clemson. And he did this time and time again in this Fiesta Bowl, where, Okudah's coming up and making a tackle right here on 14, making a tackle, right? Stuff like this stands out. Obviously, we got number 9 coming at you, coming in hot, and Okudah's going to stick his nose into this propeller and make a play. Not a lot of quarterbacks out there who are willing to do that, right? And he did this time and time again throughout the season. So as much as I wasn't a fan of this pick, at the same time I start to look at it and I go, you know what? This kid's a stud. And you can't go wrong with picking studs on your football team. You sign Desmond Trufant, you go and you pick up a dude like Okudah. Hey, let's roll with it. Let's see what Patricia's got. They're going to run cover 1. They're going to try and lock dudes up on the perimeter. And if this is the guy that they think can do it, and to be honest, after watching the film, I think he can too. This is a great example right here. Line up against T. Higgins, right? Opening those hips, not too much so he can blow by us, but still we're shadowing him towards the line of scrimmage, extending that inside arm, trying to press him towards, the sideline, and then just staying with him throughout the duration of this thing. More of a drop, I would say, than a pass breakup, but still, it's the stuff off the line of scrimmage that I think he does a very good job on. This is a great example, too, man. You talk about speed and athleticism. Look at him open up his hips and just run with this guy. Half the time he's facing the quarterback. This is a special ability that not a lot of cornerbacks can do. Off the snap here, we're still facing the quarterback, running full speed with this receiver, and then we're with him all the way through. And in fact, he had a better chance at catching that thing than the receiver did. And then again, like I said before, his ability to come up and make a play. All those things make me very excited about what Okudah can do for the Lions and how he's going to fit in with this football team. The kid's a good football player, and as much as I wasn't stoked about that pick to begin with, I think after watching the film and really diving in and seeing how he can fit in with this Lions team, I think it's a good pick. And I think it's a pick that a guy who can be a cornerstone for this defense for years to come, and in making a pretty decent secondary. Now we move on to that second round, right? And something that was addressed a lot with the Lions was, are they going to go after a running back? And they go and they pick DeAndre Swift with that second round pick. And to be honest, I like this pick. I really do. I think that it's not the initial need that I thought they were going to address, but at the end of the day, this kid makes plays, right? And they ran a ton of inside zone at Georgia. They ran a lot of everything, but I think the way this kid reads inside zone, the way he can cut things back, right? This is an example of him being able to find that hole, come up, and puncture, right? And that's a big deal for the Lions in terms of how they're going to end up running the rock, right? A lot of their stuff's going to be out of the gun with Stafford. I don't think they'll go under center and like a true 21 personnel a lot. So they're going to be out of the gun. They're going to try and empty the box with numbers on the perimeter, and that's where I think DeAndre Swift excels, him being able to not necessarily read something pre-snap, but being able to determine as soon as that ball snapped, having linebackers come up towards the line of scrimmage and then making a move to get outside of it. Now here's a look at an outside zone, which is something that I think we will see a decent amount of, and again, this is just a good read from him. And the thing that I like about this is that he's selling this play to come outside of this block the entire time. Look where this corner goes. He's thinking, oh, I'm going to come up and make a play, squeeze this thing inside out. Nope, 1 foot in the ground and we're upfield. That's a good cut from DeAndre Swift, something that I don't think is caught a lot, and that's something that I really like about this kid. Not only that, but he finishes runs, right? Finish the run, go get me some extra yardage, go get after it. Now, with their third-round pick, they picked Julian Okwara, reuniting him with his brother. Phenomenal storyline. I love that about it. This kid needs some polish, though. And yes, I'm excited that the Lions have a pass rusher, absolutely, and Lions fans should be excited too. But let's be honest, he needs some polish. And I think that he's going to take that spot of that boundary backer, that weak side backer in some cases, who's going to come down as that fourth defensive lineman and be that true pass rusher. He can stand up and rush. He can take on a tackle, right? He can squeeze plays out. I do think that this is a good pick for them. This is a really good example of them playing against USC. And, you know, as much as I think that he needs polish, and there's some plays like this, right, where we're playing at the top of this formation right here, and he's going to end up taking on a little bit of a double team, not necessarily how they drew it up, but right, that tight end's supposed to down block on him. We pull that guard because they're running their buck sweep, and he does a great job of fighting outside of this tight end, right, and then taking on this guard. That's a good play, man. Squeeze that thing out, force that back to cut up inside of you into that teeth of that defense. He did a good job at that. And then here we're working on Austin Jackson, and Austin Jackson's a first-round pick this year. There's good talent that he's going up against, and he's just working this dude, right, striking right, dipping under it, right, he's getting that inside hand to the midline, dips right under that punch, and we're into for a quick pressure on the quarterback. That's a big deal. And that's a really good job from him. I think that was really impressive in terms of how he played against USC. But like I said, again, I do think that he needs some polish and he needs a little bit of work. Now, moving on to the gritty part of this draft, and I think the part that a lot of people are fired up about is the two guard selections that the Lions made back-to-back, starting with Jonah Jackson. Jonah Jackson is just an absolute mauler from Ohio State. This guy can move people. I like his pass pro. This is a great example of like where his mindset's at, right? And you talk to a lot of Lions fans, and I think the consensus view is, hey, we need to get grittier. Well, here's an example, right? We're going to get a rush to the outside. That's going to be the tackles guy. Now we're looking for work. Great job finding a target and then just obliterating this dude. Good job, man. That's stuff that you like to see. That's stuff that sets a precedent, sets the attitude. Pass pro, I do think, needs a little bit of work, and that's pretty standard for young bucks coming into the NFL. Good job in this bull rush, just sitting on it, getting lower pad level, doing a little hop technique. Does a good job with that, just kind of staying there. This is a really nice play, though, from Jonah Jackson. One of my favorites on this. We're comboing up to this linebacker right here. We can see we get that strike. We see where that linebacker's coming in, trying to get into that gap. We wall this thing off, take him on the angle. We find him. I don't know why the film pauses right there, but we take him on the angle. We find him, and we end up able to cut this thing back with J.K. Dobbins for a big-time gain. So stuff like that he does, I think, is very, very impressive, and I think that he's going to help out a lot with this Lions offensive line. I think that he's a guy that could be a day one starter for them. Moving on to the next pick, like I said, back-to-back guards, we got Logan Stenberg from Kentucky. And when I hopped onto the live stream for the Detroit guys, the DSA, and immediately when I was watching film with this dude, I said he reminds me of Richie Incognito. And just the fact that he doesn't care, man. He's just there to run block and to maul dudes, and that's exactly what he did at Kentucky. We can see here they're playing Tennessee, and he's just taking this dude for a ride. Check him out right here. Right, you're going where I want you to go, and you're going into the ground. It's a pancake. Count it. And that's what this dude does. He's just a mauler. He does a good job of keeping a base. He's pretty athletic when he pulls. I think that sometimes he does get a little stiff-legged, and that can hurt him, especially when you get to the NFL with some superior athletes. But all in all, I think that this dude's attitude and mindset is going to be a major game changer for the Lions up front. Like I said, the kid's just a mauler. He played in the SEC. You can see here just moving guys on double teams. This is stuff you love to see as an O-line coach, and it's just as a football guy in general, right? He's working right here with his center, and he's playing left guard, and we're just going to take 90 and move him, man. That's a phenomenal job, and this was a good Kentucky team a couple years ago. So again, back-to-back good guard picks for the Lions. I think that's going to help tremendously. Moving on to their next pick, and I think a lot of people were scratching their heads with this one. I personally like this pick, though, and I know I'm saying that a lot. I think the Lions had a good draft, so I'm going to like a lot of their picks. I don't know what you want me to do about it. Quintez Cephas out of Wisconsin. This kid is getting comped a lot to Anquan Bolden. I think that's totally fair. Strong hands. He's not going to be the best at separating, but the dude's got some strong hands. He's going to go up and get a football. He's going to be great off the line of scrimmage because that's where he's going to try and separate, right? But after the catch, he's going to be mean. He's going to run like a running back. Exclamation points on the end of each catch. We can see it here against Ohio State. Lowering the shoulders, trying to make a play. And I love everything about that. I think that you put any receiver in Matt Stafford's hands and he's going to find a way to make them great as long as they can get some separation and go up and get the football when it's there. Now, moving on to their next pick, Jason Huntley, only 3 more after this. Jason Huntley out of New Mexico State. This kid's lightning in a bottle, and this guy is a sleeper for me in terms of making an impact for the Lions. Hopefully he makes it through camp and is healthy, but this kid reads inside zone like a champ, and yeah, he went to New Mexico, but dude, look at him come down on this. We're running inside zone here, pressing that thing play side. I mean, we got a dude coming front side on us, and we got a dude squeezing the gap backside, and we're going to bust this thing for 40 and a touchdown. This kid has some serious breakaway speed. He's good out of the backfield. He's great in open field. This is one of those guys where if you can get him in open space, he's going to make a play. And he is definitely a sleeper for me in terms of being able to make that roster and make an impact. Get the dude in space. He's going to be your third down guy, your scat back, go up, give me that first down, and maybe a whole lot more depending on how that defense plays him. Moving on to the next pick here, John Pennicini from Utah. This dude, to me, has a ton of potential. And I think that he's playing like a 3-tech or a 4-eye here. I can't exactly tell. I see him kind of playing that nose tackle spot with Danny Shelton, maybe rotating a little bit here and there, that 0 or that 1-tech, depending on how that defense is aligned. What I love about this kid is he's very active with his hands. He's a massive human being, and he's got a great motor. I mean, every pass rush, every play, he's trying to swat hands away. He's trying to get after the quarterback. If they hand this rock off, he's coming in hot, trying to get after it. Playing 52 here for Utah. He's down at the bottom. Just see him try to shed this block, right? He's always active, always moving. This is a phenomenal job right here. Take a look at this. So there's a little RPO from USC, right? We talk about how big this dude is and how much attention he attracts on the offensive line. It is an RPO. And if they hand this rock off where this running back's going, we got big 52 here holding up a lane. I mean, we're taking on 2 guys. He does a great job of hanging on to this guard or center so he can't get up to the second level. And he's just doing a great job taking up space and being active with his feet, not falling over, not just falling over into a gap. No, he is coming after it, trying to make a play. Check the bull rush here on this pass rush move. I mean, I really think that this kid could be something special for the Lions in terms of, maybe he's a third down nose tackle you can bring in and get a little push up front. But look at this right here. We're putting him on skates, moving him into the backfield, and then we're going after more attacking the football. There's a great example of him finishing. Right, and this is some of the things that you definitely look for when you're a defensive guy. Are all of my guys around the camera when the play's done? And here he is working on 73, Austin Jackson, once again shedding this tackle. Right, always working, always fighting, and then laying the finishing blow on that pile. And you can see how much that pile moves back once he makes that hit. Now, their last pick of this draft, Deshaun Cornell from Ohio State, definitely a project guy for the Lions. I see him playing that edge guy, kind of like a Trey Flowers build, but not to that extent in terms of ability, but definitely a solid dude, a guy who can get after the quarterback in certain situations, and he's got a little something to him. He's not just a project and a dude who's going to get cut. I do think that there is something to him. We see a little bit of quickness here. He's playing this end spot, fighting underneath this tackle, trying to make a play on that, which he does. There's definitely something to this Cornell kid, and I think that he could be good. All in all, from this Lions draft, I think it was exceptional. And I should bring up a couple of undrafted free agents really quick. People are pretty fired up about Hunter Bryant. I don't think that he's a pass catcher. He's not, to me, a fullback. He's not going to go out and block. He's a pass catcher to me. It'll be interesting to see where he kind of fits in. And then besides that, it was a number of special teams guy, a long snapper, a punter. One dude who I think may have a chance, depending on their fullback depth, is Luke Sellers from South Dakota State. And then also I do want to bring up Jeremiah Dinson from Auburn. The kid dislocated his shoulder and tore 3 ligaments in his right knee in 2015, and the Young Bucks trying to make an NFL squad today. Came back and played a number of good snaps at Auburn. Really, really cool story. Definitely check it out if you get a chance. Jeremiah Dinson from Auburn. Very excited to see what he can do. Hopefully he can make this team, because there was a little something there on film, but I've already got a 15-minute video. I'm going to try and cut this thing down for you. With all that being said, guys, I'm the Hook Cam. I hope that you enjoyed this draft breakdown for the Lions. Once again, I think it was a very good draft for Detroit. They addressed the needs that they needed to, and we'll see how much this translates over into the regular season. I hope that you guys enjoyed. No, I'm saying that again. I'm the Hook Cam. If you can, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. That would mean the world to me, as well as to Jackson Kruger Sports. And also, if you're a Detroit fan, don't know about the Detroit Sports Alliance, the DSA, they do some great work over there. Definitely check them out. But with all that being said, guys, I'm the Hook Cam, and I will see you next time.